In our previous lesson, we looked at the Word application. We saw how we can do different things with Word. We saw how we can edit, how we can format. We looked at several things, okay? We looked at several things. And we finished it, okay? We finished word processors, the word processors. And I'm sure right now some of you are able to actually complete and get 20 out of 20 in a word question, in a practical examination. So we already finished with Word. Like I promised you last week, we shall be starting off with the spreadsheet application, okay? The spreadsheet software application. Now, just like the Word application, this spreadsheet application also comes in a package together with this Word application. I remember before we started looking at these applications one by one, we looked at what we called software packages or software suites. We said these packages come with very many applications put together, all of which work in a similar way, okay? The interfaces are similar. The way you interact with them are similar. The way they do things are kind of similar, okay? So why we call them packages, because they comprise of different softwares which are put together and always work together, okay? They can share information within themselves. So you can copy a table from a Word application and you paste it in Excel. Same, you can copy a table from Excel and you paste it in a PowerPoint presentation. So all of these applications are related. So when we started looking at them, we started by looking at the Word applications. Now we are going to look at the spreadsheet applications. The spreadsheet application is very important in our daily lives, especially in the offices, in the companies we know about, even at school. Most of your details at school are kept in what we call these spreadsheet applications, okay? Where we make use of different fields and rows and columns and everything you need to know about the spreadsheet application. We are going to learn it from this lesson onward. So without wasting time, let's go to the next slide. Now, first of all, whenever you see someone talk or you hear someone talking about spreadsheets or spreadsheet applications or Excel, what you should think of is, first of all, how would you define what a spreadsheet application is to this person, okay? How would you tell him that this spreadsheet application you're talking about is this and this and this, it does this and this and this, the characteristics are this and this and this. So if you're supposed to define to someone what a spreadsheet application is, all you have to tell him is that it is a grid of what? Of rows and columns that do what? The rows and columns are supposed to hold something. They're supposed to hold something. They accept entry data, okay? They allow editing of this data. They also allow formatting of this data. They allow manipulation of numeric data. Now, these spreadsheet applications mostly are used for mathematical purposes, okay? Things that concern mathematics okay? Like when you're looking at salary, for example, when you're looking at salary requires a lot of mathematics there, because now you have to be careful when you're dealing with people's money. So you have to be able to calculate the percentages of taxes which are being taxed onto their salaries, the different. If you have a question, please, you know the drill. Raise up your hand. I'll allow you to talk. So if you don't have any other thing to say, you stay mute. So Ivan, I've muted you because your mic had been unmuted. So when you want to speak, please use the reactions, raise up your hand. The teacher will be able to see. Okay, so that's how you can explain to someone how or what a spreadsheet application is. A grid of rows and columns that accepts data entry, allows editing of this data, allows formatting and manipulation of numeric data. So spreadsheet can also display data graphically with the help of charts and graphs. So it is not only the numeric data, it's not only the labels, okay? We also can represent information in graphical manner, okay, in form of diagrams by drawing graphs, charts, and so on. Some of these charts may include the pie chart, the bar chart, the column chart, the line chart, the different types of charts here. Now, it even goes ahead and presents these charts in 3D, 2D, and so on and so on. So you'll find very many things to do with this application, okay? You'll find very many things to do with this application. Lodrick, I'm going to mute you because your microphone is unmute. Okay, so let's continue to the next slide. Now, after looking at what a spreadsheet is, you'll have to explain to us how many types of spreadsheets you know. Now, members, there are two types of spreadsheets, okay? There are two types of spreadsheets. Now, we both know that, okay, we all know that before we are where we are with technology, there was a way people used to do things, right? The same applies here in the spreadsheet applications. There was a way people used to keep record. People used to do mathematical calculations in these kind of rows or grids. There was a way. That brings us to the first type of spreadsheet, called the manual spreadsheets. So the manual spreadsheet is the most commonly used type of spreadsheet by those bookkeepers, okay, the accountants. When you enter a company and you're asked to go and see the accountant, most of the times you see them bringing out a big counter book, a blue one. When they open it, you see that they have the books inside have lines drawn, columns and rows drawn, okay, into which data is filled. Okay, so here things are done manually. You get a book, okay, what they call a ledger book. You get a ruler. You draw these columns and rows using the ruler or a ruler pencil and so on. And then when it reaches time to enter the mathematical, the formula or what we call the numeric data, and the calculations are performed using a local calculator, okay? You get a calculator, you press these numbers manually on a calculator. After getting the results, you fill it in the book by writing, okay? So you'll find books which have very many pages in which lines are drawn by the human beings using a ruler, okay? Lines, the columns and rows are drawn using a ruler, and then the digits or the numeric data is filled into these columns and rows by writing manually. In case of any calculation, they use a calculator to perform these calculations. So that is the manual spreadsheet. You find it with the bookkeepers, the accountants, okay? The accountants, they use these books, okay? Those old accountants, the ones who are not used to using the spreadsheet applications. But nowadays, it's very hard for you to find an accountant or a secretary who doesn't know how to use the Microsoft Excel application or the spreadsheet applications, because companies recruit people who have modern technology knowledge, okay? We should be knowing how to do certain things. Unless it is a company that is dealing with all this stuff, then there you don't need to have this knowledge for them. Spreadsheet applications. All right, so that takes us to, that is the first type of spreadsheets, okay? Now we have the second type of spreadsheet, that's what we call electronic spreadsheets. Now an electronic spreadsheet, just like the name, any word you see, any kind of application or any kind of device that is electronic means it uses electric current, okay? Its source of power is electricity. Now, the electronic spreadsheets make use of electricity to function, okay? They need electricity to function. You need electricity to power them. In order to use them, there should be power in the devices which are containing these applications. So it is an application. It's an application which is prepared using a computer program. So you find a programmer sat down and came up with this application. He wrote a program that enables a user to enter values in rows and columns, and then the calculations or the manipulations of these figures in these applications are performed manually by this application, okay? The computer program performs the calculations, automatically, not manually, sorry. It performs the calculations automatically without the need of a calculator or without you pressing things on a calculator, okay? So things are performed automatically. All you have to do is provide a formula or use a function or use any kind of a procedure that can lead you to perform a mathematical calculation. The rest is left to the computer to do it automatically. So here we use the formulas, like I told you, formulae and functions, and the computer and then goes ahead and performs these calculations automatically without the need of a calculator, so that you can press these values in the calculator yourself. No, that is how the electronic spreadsheets work. So those are the two main types of the electronic spreadsheets. So when you look at your screen here, we see two images. One is for someone who is writing and has a calculator in on which he's going to be pressing certain numbers to perform certain calculations, and then he fills in the values obtained from the calculator into this book manually by writing. Okay, then we have the electronic spreadsheet, the ones we are going to be very much interested in learning, that is which may include the Excel and so on and so on. Now let's continue. What are the examples of these electronic spreadsheet programs? Okay, what are the examples of these electronic spreadsheet programs? Remember, for the manual spreadsheet, we said the ledger books are the very examples we can give there. Okay, the ledger books used by the bookkeepers, okay, is an example of the manual spreadsheet. Okay, and then the electronic spreadsheet has its examples, meaning there are very many electronic spreadsheet programs which are being used right now in our computer world. Okay, some of these include the VisCalc, Then we have what we call the Lotus 123. The Lotus 123 was designed by IBM some good years ago. Okay, some good years ago. This was used in the DOS operating system. DOS, which stands for the Disk Operating System. Okay, it's the one in which you only see a black screen and all you have to do is enter commands, and then the computer can perform the necessary functions you're telling it to perform. Okay, it's one of the old operating systems. This operating system, it's not friendly, it's not user friendly. Okay, it's not user friendly in that you must know commands in order to use it. That is the disk operating system. But even the Windows right now we are using still has the disk operating system within it, okay, in form of the command prompt, or the CMD. Okay, most of you already know how the CMD looks like. Maybe just for purposes of a recap, I can show you how it looks like. Let me just share you a screen to show you how the CMD looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to share a screen. So I want you to tell me if you can see the CMD. Are you able to see a black screen which is blinking? Are you all able to see that screen?
Yes, sir.
So,
yes,
so this is the CMD. This is the CMD, and in this CMD, you can enter commands like CD. You can enter commands like LS. Okay, so you can enter very many commands. Okay, you can enter very many commands. Some of these commands you must be knowing. Okay, so Bamuji Hakim, I see your hand is up. Please, if you have a question, ask.
Sir,
yes, please.
Is it the same screen like when you're downloading or installing something? It brings some words and prompts. Then like you're initializing some things. That's
yes. Okay, this is what happens. Normally when you're installing a program in a computer, there are certain programs that must be run within this CMD. Okay, there are certain programs which must be run with using the CMD. So without the CMD, it is not possible that you can install that software. Okay, it might be hard for you to install the software without the CMD. Okay, so those are just small programs which have been put within the application that must run to initiate the program installation. Without the initiation, which must be run on CMD, it can be very hard for an application to be installed. But there are also those applications which don't require the CMD to run. Okay, so now this CMD, actually the CMD, you can do anything using the CMD, anything you can do using the graphical interface. Okay, the graphical interface and the CMD, you can do whatever you want on this CMD, and you can do it on also the graphical interface. So the CMD by then it was just an operating system. So you buy a computer, when you start it, all you see is a black screen. You don't see those backgrounds, those icons. You don't see anything. You see that black screen. Even logging into your computer, you only see the black screen. So it would be something like this, a black screen only, okay, such that you can now start typing your commands, like, okay. So that is the command prompt, and it came about us looking at the disk operating system. So the Lotus 123 is that application which was used in that disk operating system, which was designed by IBM to run these application, to run these spreadsheet applications. In case you needed to do those, you needed to compile things which required you to use a spreadsheet program. By then you would use the Lotus 123. Then we have the Microsoft Office Excel. It is what most of us are using nowadays. Right now in this world, as we talk now, the highest percentage of people who are using spreadsheet applications are actually using Microsoft Excel. And how does it look like? Are you all able to see this screen? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that is how the Microsoft Excel looks like. Okay, Microsoft Office Excel. Now, something we have to know about these Excel applications in Windows is that these Windows application, the Excel especially, or the Microsoft Office packages, they come according to their upgrades. Okay, so this right here on the screen you're seeing is Office 2019. Its interface looks different from how Office 27 might look like. So people who are running Microsoft Office 27, you'll actually notice that the interface of Microsoft Office 7 is not the same as you see in Microsoft Office 2013 or Microsoft Office 2016 or Microsoft Office 2019. So all the interfaces are slightly different, but the functionalities are the same. The way they do things are the same, okay? The way they do things are the same. Now, this is Microsoft Office 2019. I wish I'd installed 27 here. Luckily enough, today we're not using, if we were using our Ubuntu or the Linux for our lesson today, we would be using the Office 27, just like you saw the other time as we were working with Word. Most of our lessons were actually, all of the lessons we had about the Word the Word processors was we conducted it in our Ubuntu operating system. But today we are looking at it in Windows. So it is going to be easier for us to perform things the way we want them to be. So as you're paying attention, listening to what I'm telling you, you should also be taking some notes as usual. So certain things I say are not in the notes you have. Okay, so this is how the Excel application looks like. Microsoft Office Excel 2019. All right. Okay. So other examples include the View Sheet, the Lucid 3D, Microsoft Works, Multiplan, Quattro Pro, and so on and so on. Now, in Linux, okay, who can tell me LibreOffice? Where do we find LibreOffice? LibreOffice calculator. LibreOffice calculator. Where do we find it? Which operating system has this one? Yes. Which operating system has LibreOffice?
macOS, Linux.
It's Linux, exactly. It's Linux. Linux is the one that has the LibreOffice calculator. Okay, that's we use it in Linux. Meanwhile, Microsoft Office Excel is found in Windows. And then Google Sheets is an online application. Okay, it is an online application. Now, some of you don't know how it looks like, so I'm just going to share it with you and show you how the Google Sheet works. So this is what normally happens. Okay, I'm just going to share another screen. I'm just going to share another screen with you people so that we can be able to know how we can access the Google Sheets. So are you all able to see my browser? You're all able to see my browser, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this I've just logged into my Gmail account, and now from your Gmail account, in order for you to get access to the Google Sheets, you go through Google Drive, okay? You go through Google Drive because those applications are put in the Google Drive. Or you can scroll down, okay? Under these applications, you find all those other applications you can find in Google Drive are also here. So all these applications run online, okay? We have Google Forms here. Okay, what we normally use to set you those tests, we use this. Then we have Google Earth. Google Earth is to do with the earth or the world, the geography. We have Google Classroom here. We have Keep, we have Blogger, Books, Hangouts, and so on and so on. But our interest is, the other time we looked at Google Docs. Okay, Google Docs is the online word processor. Okay, it's an online word processor. Then we have Google Sheets. So when you open Google Sheets, you'll actually notice that Google Sheets, I don't need a tour because I'm not new. Google Sheet works. It looks almost exactly like the other spreadsheet applications. Okay. Yes, please. Is there anyone asking a question?
No, sir.
Someone is saying she has seen, or he has seen my private emails. I bet you didn't read anything on it. Okay, so this is how the online spreadsheet application looks like. Now, when you look at it and you compare it with this other Microsoft Office Excel, you see that they are almost not different. Okay, they are not any different because we have a title there, a title bar there where you see the title of the spreadsheet. We also have it here. We have the file, the menu here. We also have the menu here. The icons are here. We also have the icons there. The rows and columns are here. You also see them there. So you'll find that all the spreadsheet applications look alike in every kind of platform, including the ones in Linux or another operating system like Macintosh, Mac OS, the one that runs the Apple and the MacBooks, and the ones that runs in the MacBooks and so on. All those applications you find, and they're supposed to be dealing with the spreadsheet applications, you find they're all alike. They all look the same. So this is how the Google Sheet works on the online platforms. Okay, so you can access it through Google. It's a service provided by Google for those who don't have probably the spreadsheet applications, or for those who want to work online. So if you have your good your fast internet, you can do your things online. And the beauty is whatever you do online is stored online in the clouds. Okay, meaning you can access it anywhere, anytime. Okay, on any machine. So that is the beauty with the online applications. Okay, so let's continue with our back to our presentation here. So those are the examples. Now let's continue to how these things are of an advantage to us, the users. Okay, how are they of any advantage to us? Okay, that brings us to first looking at the advantages of the very first type, which is the manual spreadsheet. Remember, the manual spreadsheet, we said, is the one people get books and they draw lines, in which people draw lines using the rulers, they draw the rows and columns, they fill in these values, and then in case of any calculations, they bring out a calculator and they press the numbers on the calculator. The results they obtain, they have to write them in these books. And we said an example is the one we find in a ledger book, which is used by the bookkeepers. Okay, now how is it of an advantage? Number one, it is very cheap. It is very cheap to acquire, and it's very easy to acquire. All you have to do is go to the shop, buy a book of about 1,000. I don't know how much those big counter books are. You just buy one and you get a ruler. A ruler is 500. A pencil is not more than 500 shillings. So you have spent about less than 10K, and you have a spreadsheet you are using to keep your record. Now, that is so easy and cheap to acquire. Compared it to the electronic one, remember with the electronic one, you must first afford it to buy. In fact, you should afford to buy should afford Yaka. First of all, you should have paid Yaka, such that you have electricity in your room. Without Yaka, you are not able to use the devices on which you find these electronic applications. So that is the advantage of the manual spreadsheet over the electronic spreadsheet when we compare it in terms of the in terms of the price, the cost, and so on, how easy it is to afford. And then they are easily portable. You find people walking with these books in their hands without any problem. They are not that heavy. You can walk with them in a bag. They are very portable. You can move with them, okay? And then they are suitable for draft or rough work. Sometimes you will need to write draft work, okay? As you're working, as you're drawing the lines, as you're doing the calculation, someone raises an issue that the calculation you're doing, that is not the figure. Initially, I just obtained a raise in salary. Please, you have to put it there. So instead of putting it in the real work, you can put it aside as draft work in another page. So it is suitable for draft or rough work. Then they are not electronic. Thus, you don't need to pay a car, okay? You don't need to pay a car. You don't need electricity. All you have to do is, if you're working at night, buy a candle with a matchbox. You light the candle, so long as you're able to see in the book, you start writing, start filling the figures. These calculators are not that expensive. You have your calculator, you can press. Some of them even have the light effect. They can emit light in the night, okay? So you can use it anytime without electricity. You don't have to pay your car. So those are costs which have been cut. Then you don't need skills, a lot of skills. You don't need a lot of skills. So even a computer illiterate, that's why you'll find in companies, there's always that one person who doesn't know how to use a computer, but he's working with the account department, okay? The accounts department. That is because the person knows how to perform the details, the records concerning the accounts. But whether he knows or she knows how to use the computers for doing this doesn't matter, so long as she is able to, or he is able to do it using a ledger book or a book which is a manual, okay? So you don't need to get the skills, the skills we are learning here to use this. The unfortunate bit is it is phasing out. This manual spreadsheet type is phasing out right now because as we keep on moving, we keep on advancing with technology. So that is those are the advantages of a manual spreadsheet, okay? Now, this manual spreadsheet also comes with a lot of disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Now, they require a lot of manual effort. Imagine you sit there, you can spend 1 hour drawing lines and the rows, just columns and the rows, just drawing them using the pen and the pencil and the ruler. You're there drawing lines, 1 hour, the whole book. You're taking a lot of time. Imagine someone who is using an electronic spreadsheet. In 1 hour, as you're still drawing your rows and columns, this person has finished doing what he's supposed to do, okay? So it requires a lot of manual effort and time. Now, after the 1 hour, after drawing those lines, you are sweating. You even first get your handkerchief, you wipe off the sweat, and so on. It is very tiresome, okay? Now, as you know, we are human beings. We are bound to make errors. We are bound to make errors. Human beings make errors. We make mistakes. So when you compare the mistakes we make compared to the mistake a computer program can make, you'll find that we humans make more mistakes compared to the computers. So when we are using this manual spreadsheet, just to be sure, if you are one of those guys whose record is going to be manipulated within this manual spreadsheet, you'll find that instead of getting your increased salary recorded in this book, they might be giving you your old salary. So it is not easy to keep these things up to date. So you'll find people doing errors. That is why you find sometimes they rub it off. Sometimes they use a whitewash to remove what is already an error. It becomes untidy, which is another disadvantage. Because of the rubbing out of correct to correct errors, it makes the work untidy. Someone opens the ledger book and sees the work is untidy. Some people get biased. If I'm the company manager, I can't even fire you because, first of all, you're not organized, okay? But I could avoid this. I could have avoided these mistakes or the errors or the untidiness if I was considering using an electronic application. So that is another disadvantage. Now, they do not have pre-existing tables as opposed to electronic spreadsheet. Now, electronic spreadsheets, just imagine how we opened the online spreadsheet, okay? The one that works online, the Google Sheets. I opened it and the rows were already there. Yeah, I didn't have to get a ruler or a pen to draw those rows and the columns, okay? Even any other application, any other spreadsheet application you open on your computer, you'll find the rows and columns already drawn there for you. All you have to do is start using them. Okay, you just simply start using them. After using them, you close the computer, you save it, you're done. Okay, but these columns and the rows don't exist. They don't pre-exist. By pre-existing meaning, you don't buy the book and you find it. You have to draw these lines, these rows and columns. You have to draw them manually by using a ruler and a pen or a pencil. Okay, then these things are very small in size. How can we, how many pages does a counter book have? Let me see people who know their books at home, or they know how many pages does a counter book have? Pages. How many?
192 pages.
200.
Okay, some have 200, some have 200, some have 240, some have 192 pages, but these pages are few. Now, I want you to take a look at this. Let me just take you back to the application. I want you to take a look at this here. Are you able to see my application, the Excel application? Now, this application has a lot of pages, okay? I can even create more pages. Now, this is just the first page, okay? Now, I can continue scrolling down, okay? I can continue scrolling down. These numbers you see here, they continue going down. You see, I can continue scrolling down to infinity, as many. You can see the numbers increasing. I'm scrolling down by pressing the down arrow key, okay? So I can fill as many. Now, only this page alone can be a whole counter book of yours, or even more. It can even need like 5 of them. Oh, I don't know. But I've never reached the end of the first page. Okay. Now, that is it, going downwards. Now, going left, I mean to the right, you'll see that the columns have been labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G, up to Z. Now, I want you to notice what happens when you reach Z. Here's Z. Someone would have thought that as you reach Z, it will come to the end of the page, but it continues to A, B, A, C, up to A, Z. After that, it goes to B, A, B, until it reaches Z, Z, okay? Then after Z, Z, you'll also find A, B, A, C. It continues, so it never ends. So only this page alone is so diverse, okay? It is so diverse. That is why we prefer using it to the manual spreadsheet application. Okay, the spreadsheet, the manual spreadsheet. So I can even create more pages here. Later on, we shall see. You can see now I have a first page there, the second page is here. I can create more pages, as many as I want. Okay, but each page can accommodate over 100 of your counter books. So that's the disadvantage now we see with them manual spreadsheets. They are very small in size. You have to be buying books and books and books and books because they always keep on getting depleted. Okay, now that takes us to the next disadvantage. They are not durable. Imagine you are carrying this book and all of a sudden it starts raining with this book in your hands. Whether you put it in your shirt, whether you put it in your trouser to protect it, unless you have a cavera, this book is going to get messed up. It's going to become wet. And when it becomes wet, it is ruined already. And remember, you're having the very, very sensitive information in this ledger book. Now, there you have a problem. Or take a scenario of fire breaks out in your house and you have this book in the house. This book, whether you like it or not, it's going to burn unless the book is made of metal, which is impossible. Okay, so these things can easily get damaged. They can easily tear out. They can easily get damaged. They're not durable. Okay. Then they do not have automatic formulas. If you want a formula, you have to use your brain. You enter the formula in the calculator. You get the answer. You put it in the book. Sometimes, because we're human beings, the formula you enter is even wrong. So it is also a disadvantage. And then you cannot easily insert or delete extra columns and rows. When the page is done, it is done. It's not easy for you to force something there, okay? Meanwhile, with this other electronic one, you just go, you right click, insert, another column appears. As simple as that. So it becomes easier to use the electronic spreadsheet over the manual spreadsheet. But also remember, the electronic spreadsheet don't only have it's not only the good things that happen to them. They also have their disadvantages, as we are going to look at next. So the advantages of using these, the pre-existing tables we already talked about, no need to draw the grid lines. They have inbuilt formulas and functions. You can enable automation in calculations and work manipulations, okay? You only enter a formula once. After doing that, you copy and drag it to the rest of the columns and the things are done automatically. There are minimal errors, and in case of any, you can easily correct them, okay? Now, when you're using these applications, especially the electronic ones, when you make an error, the computer even tells you there's an error here. Okay, there are error codes they use. If the error is to do with probably you've tried to divide a number by 0, the application will tell you now, this is an error. You cannot divide a number by 0. The answer is not there. It is impossible. It tells you there's an error code which has the div, then something, then 0. Something like that. It tells you the kind of error you are having in the work. And then they have very large worksheets, like I already showed you. You can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. You can work on a lot of things just on the same sheet. Okay. And then you can also add extra columns and rows. Later on, we're going to see. Probably, let me just show you how we can add an extra row. Assuming here I have a name Gregory, and then I have Esther here. But for some reason, I expected Joshua to come in between Gregory and Esther. I don't need to go ahead and remove this. All I have to do is highlight the column that has Esther, right-click in the highlighted part, and I click on insert. A column is inserted there. Then I can add my Joshua. So that is very, very good. With a ledger book, you might even decide to first tear off that page and start drawing the lines on another page. So that is how easy it is to work with the electronic spreadsheets. Okay. Now, the work can be protected with passwords, thus ensuring security, unless you work with a bag which has a big padlock in which you are keeping these ledger books. It is not easy to secure those books. But with these applications, you just put a password and a username. You are the only one who can access the program. You can easily do that, okay? Okay, when I come to file, where? Is there something to do security? There's a way you can do it, but we shall look at it later on. I'll show you, okay? I'll show you how you can do it. You can secure it. You can secure it, and then you will be the only person who will be able to access this application. Okay, so that is how easy you can secure things there. Now, you can keep the records. By the way, you can enhance the loop. You can keep the records. You can sort them. You can filter them out to just get what you want. Imagine your manager comes and you're using a manual spreadsheet or a ledger book. Your manager enters your office and tells you, now, I want you to get for me, we are in 2021, get for me all those employees who were paid within the years 1992 to 1995. Now you find the accountant is starting to panic. Now, where will I get these books? Where will I get these books? It's not easy, okay? But for this one here, you just simply go, you filter out, okay? Filtration, we're going to filter out this data. Filter out those people who were paid between 1992 and 1995. It gets within 2 minutes or even 1 minute. You have what the manager needs. Work continues efficiently. That is an advantage of the electronic spreadsheet, okay? Now, the work can be made to look attractive with the various formats to suit the user's needs. Okay. Now I can decide that now since I'm looking for a way of promotion, I want to get promoted within this job, and my boss has asked me to bring in these names of Gregory, Joshua, and Esther. I have to make it look attractive. How can I make it look attractive? Let me give them a background. Let me even make them like you have a ready font color. In fact, I don't like this font style. Let me give them a nice font style. Okay. So you see, just within seconds, I've already made the document look so appetizing, so nice, in that when my manager sees this and he's like, wow, from now onwards, your salary is no longer 500,000. You are going to start receiving 800,000. You see, it makes work very easy. I've made it look very nice. I've formatted the work to look very pleasing. I'm sure even some of you are enjoying the way the thing appears. The names Joshua, Esther, Gregory appear. Okay, so you cannot do this on a ledger book. Imagine you're supposed to. That means you would have bought coloring pencils. And then you should also be a good artist to make something like this in a ledger book. You will be wasting time. So that is the advantage of another advantage of the electronic spreadsheet over the other one. So they also allow printing of multiple copies without recreation. Okay, you can print these copies several times. That's another. Now, these electronic spreadsheets also have their disadvantages. First of all, they're expensive to buy and maintain. Okay, now for us Africans, we like using the free things. Most of us like using, including me, free things. Even the applications I'm using, none of them in this PC I have purchased them. I have not purchased any of the applications in my computer because we like free things, but they are not supposed to be free. Because we are using free things, you actually find that as you're using these applications, you find problems arising. You find problems arising. All of a sudden, they tell you now you have an update. But if you don't have the initial key to update this, you cannot update. That means I have to go and look for another free application because I don't have the key. So that is the, so because we need to purchase these things, they are expensive to buy and maintain. Okay. Now they are electronic. That means without your car, you can't work. Without your car. Yes, please.
So even Excel is, you have to pay for it.
Yes, Excel, a genuine Excel application is supposed to be paid for. But for us, we don't pay for them. Okay, those applications, we are supposed to pay for them. Yes, Mugume, you have something to say? Mugume Derek, as if you're saying something. Okay, Divine, say something, Divine.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
So that means they get like outdated, and then you need an upgrade.
Yes.
Excel and Word.
Yes, those things get out of date by the way. The time they'll ask you all of a sudden, by the way, how they do it, all of a sudden you find that the icons you normally use for formatting, they are deactivated. Now there you have no option but to look for ways of activating them, only to find out that they're asking you to activate the Microsoft Office package, of which you don't even know what the activation means. They might be asking you to re-enter the key, the initial key, which you don't have. So that means you'll have to look for another way of obtaining a free one, unless you have the keys. Semaganda, you have a question? But Divine, I hope you're okay.
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. All right. Semaganda. You didn't understand?
Very well on the part. Very well on the part where I used examples of book.
Or examples of the manual spreadsheets.
Yes, but when you are saying that calculations.
The calculations and so on. Okay. Okay, let me just go back and explain the manual spreadsheet for the for Semaganda's sake. Okay. Maybe who can help, who understood what I talked about, the manual spreadsheet and the examples? Who understood it? Put up your hand. I'm going to ask you to help our brother to say something to help him. Okay, so just raise up your hand and explain what manual spreadsheet is, because I think I was somehow clear enough. So who understood it and can explain it to our brother? Yes. Yes. Bamuje Akim, please unmute and explain to Lyndon.
So manual spreadsheet is like a book, these tangible ones, but when someone draws columns and rows in order to fit the information.
Okay.
They also use calculators to work out the equations.
So what are the examples? Can you give us examples of the manual spreadsheets you know?
The examples of manual spreadsheets, there are these books that these cashiers use.
Have you ever seen one?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sir,
Emmanuel?
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir.
Yeah?
The lecture books also. No.
Actually, okay. Not lecture books. you don't call them lecture books. They are ledger. Okay. Let me just share. Let me share another screen to. This is how it's written. The word is ledger, not lecture. Okay. Are you able to see my screen here? Are you able to see that screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can see it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me increase the font such that you can be able to see. I think it was not.
Yes.
Let me just. Okay. So the word is ledger. Okay. That is the word I've been saying. They are called ledger books. Okay. These ledger books are used by bookkeepers. And examples of these bookkeepers may include the cashiers, as the Akim already said. The cashiers can be examples, and then we can also have accountants. Okay, the accountants, of course, are also examples of those people who are cashiers. Okay, so these books are called the bookkeepers. These people are called the bookkeepers. Then they use what we call ledger books, which are okay. I hope it is clear. Yes, Emmanuel Collins, you have something? Emmanuel, you're not clear. Okay, yes. Yes, Emmanuel.
Last time we used books.
Emmanuel, your network is not clear.
Books.
Your network is not clear. We can't hear you clearly.
They also use Vista books.
Okay, visitor books, eh? Okay, visitor books. Anyway, yes. Yeah, one of the common examples you can look at the visitor books, by the way. Yes. Okay. Yes. You can also use the visitor books. Yeah, that is a good example. Now, Teddy, please stop insulting your friends. Teddy, please don't use that language in the chat section. All of us can see what you're typing. Okay. All of us can use some good language. Use good language. Yeah, for people who are wondering, yeah, I'm using Windows 11. Okay. I'm using Windows 11. This is how Windows 11 looks like. Okay, later on after our lesson, I'm going to show you how the desktop.
I thought it wasn't yet out.
It is not yet officially out, but you know, for us, we can manage to get these things without the even release, without the
software.
Pardon?
Yes,
it's okay. Okay, we shall talk more about it after the lesson. Let us first finish with our lesson, and then we shall talk about it more. Okay. I see most of you are also eager to use it. We shall use it. We shall all use it. Okay. Back to our presentation. So we are still looking at the disadvantages. I hope, Lyndon, you are okay now. Lyndon, have you been helped? Samaganda? Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's very good then.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's continue. Now, another disadvantage, a big one actually, is that these applications, as you use them, you should be aware of what we call viruses. We looked at viruses in our previous lessons. I remember viruses can attack your file and you can lose the whole file. Once you lose the whole file, you have questions to answer, of course, with the management within your company. So there is data loss due to virus attacks and some system failures. So you have to be very careful. Now, the only thing you can do in order to avoid this is to always have backups. To always have kept backups. Okay, you must have kept backups, and then you can come back to access them once the originals have been affected by or infected by viruses, or because of system failure, you have lost them. So the backups, you can keep them online, okay, so that next time you can easily get them out. Okay, so then there are also privacy problems like unauthorized access over networks. If, for example, you are seated in a computer lab, you remember, okay, I don't know how many of you have ever used the computer lab, or I don't know how many times you've had a practical lesson in the computer lab. Those computers in the computer lab at college have been networked, in that anyone can access whatever you are doing in any computer. Okay, meaning whoever is seated on the server has authority to do anything with you, whoever is not seated on the server, but you're connected to the server. So when the computers are connected in a network, there is unauthorized access. People can access your files without even your knowledge or without your authorization. So it becomes a problem, okay, when you are using a spreadsheet application, and this application you are using to develop a file which is very sensitive, probably details of school fees of students, and then you are in a network. Someone who has been targeting your job for the past 2 years can sit on a network, access your file, even deletes it, or can even remove it from the system. So that is another disadvantage, okay? Now, those are the disadvantages. Now let's move on and we look at what are the parts of this application we are looking at right now. Yes, what are the parts? So, all right. Now, here is an image of how the application, this is Microsoft Office Excel. It might be 2013. How I know? It's because I'm looking at that icon there. They normally have the icons are normally slightly different. So this person who came up with this image must have used the my Windows 13 to name these parts. Now, what we must understand is that I want you to be very careful while we are going to look at these, these parts. I will look at these parts here, and then I'll open for you the real application, and then I'll be asking you what the parts are called. So please pay keen attention. Okay. The first part I want you to look at is what we look at. We start from up there. Now, at the extreme top corner, we see what we call a control box. That control box can help you to do very many things, okay? You can close the window from that control box. You can minimize it. You can do a lot of things using the control box, okay? Then just after the control box, we see an icon which looks like a floppy disk. We remember how a floppy disk looks like. So we see that icon. That icon means save, okay? It is used for saving, but we find that icon in what we call the quick access menu, because we can quickly access things here. There are those two arrows, one going to the left, another going to the right, meaning undo, redo. We shall see these things in details when I open for you. Now, after that, just after these quick access toolbars, we see something up here, book 1, Microsoft Excel. Now, that is the title of the file you're dealing with in this application. Now, as you're dealing with the file, by default, when you open a new file without saving it, it is saved as book 1, okay? Book 1. Now, that place, that area where you see the name of the file you're dealing with is what we call the title bar. It is the title bar, okay? That is it. We're done with that. And then we have these other icons here for closing, maximizing, minimizing, okay? All right, let's continue. Now, you will see that question mark with a blue background, always in most of these applications. Whenever you see that icon, that icon means help. What does help mean? Now, most of you are going to become software developers in the future, I believe. I know about a good number of you who have the capability of becoming software engineers. In the future, when you design certain applications, members, you will have to let your friends know, all the people who are going to use the application, know how to use it. But it's not a must that you should always be there to show them. You should not always be there to show them. So what you can do is you create a document and you call it help, such that you provide an icon like the help button where people can click and actually see everything about your application. So if you want to know more about the application you're using, look for that help menu, okay? Look for that help menu. In Microsoft Office 27, it is actually a menu which is on its own after these other menus. But that will help you in other, if you see that icon anywhere, it means there's help there. Click on it, search anything you want to know about the application, you'll be able to find it. Then next we have the menu bar, okay? This is where we find these words: file, home, insert, page layout, formulas, data review, view, and so on and so on. Those things are what we call the menus. The menus, just like you enter a restaurant, you sit down, you tell them, let's bring the menu list. You bring the menu list. You tell them, today I want to eat katogo, some matoke, and some beans. There you are reading them the menu, but that's not the menu we are dealing here. But the way you can look at them is the same. You are looking at something to find something, to get something. You look at the names of what these people provide on the menu list, such that you can get what they are putting there. So these files do the same. Anything to do with handling the file, you can go through the file menu. Anything to do with manipulation, anything to do with formatting, you go through home. When you want to insert something, you go through the insert menu. So that is how the menu items work. Now, after the menu items, there is what we call the ribbon. Okay, we call it the ribbon. This ribbon is what we call, it's called context sensitive. Now, what you should understand is that whenever I bring you a test, when I set you an exam and I bring this pattern and I tell you to name it, don't tell me it's a ribbon, okay? Because I might be knowing that it's a ribbon while other teachers might not be knowing it's a ribbon. Now I'm talking in terms of your name. If they're marking your name papers, before you put a ribbon while everyone else is putting something there. So I want you to always put a toolbar, okay? A toolbar, not toolbox. This is a toolbar. Why we call it a toolbar is we have different tools which are going to help us with the manipulation or the formatting of whatever we are using, whatever we are putting into this application. That is why we call it a toolbar, okay? Now that toolbar has a lot of icons there, a lot of tools, which you can use to do what? To manipulate or to format or to edit, okay? For example, here, when I came here, when I wanted to make this thing appear the way it is appearing, I just used the toolbar there, clicked there, and the things were okay. In fact, if I want more, I can even just come here, I use the toolbar, and I click it here. I've given that thing borders, okay? I've applied, but just by using the toolbox. It's like a carpenter who goes to work with a toolbox. When he wants to hammer a nail into the wall, he doesn't use his fist, He doesn't punch the nail into the wall using his fist. He has to go to the toolbox. He searches for a hammer, and then he uses a hammer to do what? To put this nail into the wall. Okay, that is how these things also help us. When I want to make the background yellow in color, I go to the toolbox which has the background colors. I put it there, and the things are done. Okay, now that is how the toolbox works. Then after the toolbox, we now come to the very important part, the parts which make this application unique from the others. We have what we find here. We have what we have here. We have something here where it's written A1. Now, this area where you see A1 is what we call a name box. Why is it called a name box? It is called a name box because it gives us the name of the cell which is active. What is a cell? What is a cell? A cell is an intersection of a row and a column. Are we together? A cell is an intersection of a row and a column. When you look at A and the column A, all columns are labeled using the alphabetical letters, in capital letters, A, B, C, D, and so on. All those columns are named like that. Then the rows are numbered from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to infinity. Because I'm never and that's why I say it's up to infinity. So when you look at the column A and you look at the row 1, where these two columns meet, it is given a name A1, the column letter, and the name, the number 1. So this cell is an intersection of column A and the row 1, which gives us a cell called A1. So it is called the name box because it tells us that the cell which is now active is the name box. Okay, an example here, live example. Come here. Now I'm going to select just at random. That cell is the active one. How do I know which cell I've selected? I go to the name box there. I've selected the L15. How do I know it's L15? If I want to prove, I come here, this is column A, yes. And then here I move to the left, I see which row, it is the row 15, giving us the name L15. But because we are not always going to be there to look for, this is column M, and then the M intersects with which row, we don't need to do that. All you have to do is select the active cell, go to the name box, see the name of the box, I14. That is how it works. Okay, that is how the name box works. And then just on the right side of the name box, we see what we see. We see something written FX. FX, that is a button. That button, FX, is a button which we use for inserting function. A function, where we shall look at what a function is later on. That FX, when you click on it, it brings you all the functions you can use to manipulate any mathematical kind of operation with this application. Example here. we have the FX here. I'm clicking on it. It brings me that window. And then you can see all the functions I can use: the sum, average, if, even other mathematical functions like the square root and so on. You can use them there. Okay, so that is called the function button. Now the use, excuse me, you already know what it's used for, to insert a function. So it's called the insert function button. Now, after the insert function button, we have what we call the formula bar. The formula bar. Now, the formula bar is this empty space here. Why do we call it a formula bar? It is because you can use it to enter a formula, and you can also use it to view which formula you are entering in an active cell. Example, here, I have 2 here, okay? I have 2 here, and then I have 1 or another 2 here, and then I have a 4 there, okay? But I want to get the sum of these 2 numbers, okay? Now, I can enter the formula here, but before you enter any formula, I want to start telling you to embrace this from now. Whenever you are dealing with the formula in Excel, it should and must always start with an equal sign. Let me repeat. Every formula or function or any kind of calculation you're trying to make using a formula must start with an equal sign. So I'm going to start typing the equal sign. I put it there, and then I'm going to select that file. I'm going to press plus on my keyboard, plus this one, plus this one. Now, I want you to look at the formula bar. What do you see in the formula bar? Don't you see the formula I've just entered in the active cell? Now, we call it a formula bar because we have seen that it is displaying the formula we have just entered in the active cell. So that when I press enter, it does for me the calculation automatically. I didn't have to look for a calculator to do the calculations for me. Okay. Now, when I click here, you see the formula bar has nothing, because this thing has nothing. When I click there, the formula bar is showing me that there's a 2 in that cell. So the formula bar displays to me exactly what is in the active cell. Now, when I click on this 8, it doesn't show me 8, but it rather shows me the what? The formula I used for getting 8. So that is the use of the formula, to view what an active cell contains. When I click here, you'll see that it contains Esther. When I click here, it has Joshua. So the formula bar helps you to view that. But the formula bar also helps you to enter the formula to perform, okay? For example, if I wanted to perform 2 times 2 times 4 in this cell, the active cell, I will not type it in this cell. I will type it in that formula bar. But it doesn't matter, even if I type it in that formula bar or within the cell, so long as I write the correct formula. So I'm going to start with the equal sign. This, I'm going to press it, the multiplication symbol on my keyboard, times that, and then times this 4. And then I'm going to press enter. It gives me the 16. 2 times 2, 4, 4 times 4, 16. The answer is
How
there.
do you get the E5, the F5, and the G5? Does
Okay.
it come automatically?
Okay, that is it's a very good question. Yes. Who asked that question? May I know your names?
Francis Senoga.
Senoga Francis. Okay. Senoga Francis, you are always asking questions in my class, and I like it. And you ask relevant questions because you are trying to understand. So I already know some of you by voices. I'm looking forward to seeing your face when we return back to school. I've always been observing certain individuals here who are taking things extremely serious, people who are asking questions, people who are always attending. I've been taking note of those people, and Senoga is one of them. Senoga also attends my lesson, just like Joshua. These two have identified them because they are always active. So please make me know you. It will make things easier for you. Just make me know you by being active, asking questions whenever there's a necessary question to ask, and then we shall be okay. So he's asking, how am I entering how are the values coming there? Those letters E, the names E5, F5, and G5. Now, when you're typing a formula, members, when you're typing a formula, for example, let me just type another formula where I'm going to divide 80 by 2, okay? Okay, 4 by 2, let's make it simple. When you're typing a formula, when you press the equal sign, you have started typing a formula. The program knows this is a formula coming next. The next thing to do is to insert the the operands, because in a formula we have operators and operands. We shall look at operators later as we continue, because operators, without operators, we can't perform these calculations here in Excel. So the first thing to do is enter the operands. The operands are those numbers we are using to perform the calculation. In this case, our operand is 4 and 2. So, but we don't just type 4 and 2 there, because this 4 and 2, they are in a cell. So if we want to access 2 and 4, we must use the name of the cell to access these numbers. Okay. So we use the name of the cells to perform these calculations, or to come up with these formulas and the function things and so on. We use the formula, the cell names. Okay. But how do I get there? I know this 4 is here. So after typing the equal sign there, when I click on any cell, it will insert that name there automatically. It inserts the name of the cell there automatically. Oh, if I don't want to do that, I already know. Just by looking at it, I know this is G, this is G5. I can simply type G5. Now I've just typed it. I've just typed it. You can type it, or you can just select it as you're writing the formula. So I've just typed G5 and it has selected it for me there. I'm going to type the multiplication sign, the division sign, and then I'm going to divide it with, the 2 is found in F, what? In F5.
F5.
So I'm just going to type F5. I've just typed it. Or I could just come here and select it, click on it, and it automatically puts it there for me. And then I can press enter, and I get my answer 2. Is it okay, Francis Senoga?
Yes, sir. It's okay. I've understood.
Okay, that's very good, then. I hope it is okay for the rest of you guys, I hope it is okay for the rest. Okay. All right. Okay, let's continue then. Let's continue. So we are still, all of this is coming just as we're looking at the parts of the application. Remember that. So now, after looking at those formula bars, the name box, and the function insert buttons, let's come to the working space now. In the working space, I want us to start by looking at these things. We have sheet 1 here, sheet 2 here, sheet 3. I'm going to compare these to your counter books, or the ledger books we talked about in a manual spreadsheet. In a manual spreadsheet, that book has each page. It has a page, and there are 2 pages on each sheet of paper. Not so in a book. When you're turning your papers in your books, that paper is the sheet. A paper is a sheet, but that sheet has 2 pages. Okay, one above and the other one below. There are 2 pages on each sheet. Now, just like in our books, we have those sheets. In Excel, we also have our sheets here. These sheets are like those sheets in the ledger books, okay? In your notebooks and so on. They're like those sheets, but you can add as many as you want, okay? In this application, you can press. You remember, I was pressing the plus sign in somewhere there to add more. So these sheets are like the book sheets you find in another book, okay? But when you put all those sheets you have in your book together, it forms what we call the book. Not so. Your book, your biology book, is called a book because it has sheets of papers in it. If there was no sheet of paper in your book, and you only have the cover, it is not a book. It is a book cover, actually. But because you have sheets of papers there, it qualifies to be a book. The same applies here. When you have sheets when you have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 put together, you also form what is called a book. But this book is now not called a book. It is called a workbook. Okay? So it's called a workbook. Meanwhile, this sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3 is called a worksheet. Are we together? It's called a worksheet because it has sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. Each sheet is called a worksheet. But all of them put together form a workbook. Just like in your book, each sheet of paper forms a sheet in your book. But all of the sheets put together forms your book, your biology book, your chemistry book, your any book. Okay? So that is how you can do those things there. You can compare these things, by the way, to real life examples. Sheets forms books. In Excel, worksheets form workbooks. So a workbook is actually, when you open an application, what you've opened is called a workbook, where we find worksheets. So a workbook can have 1 sheet or more sheets. Okay. Now these are worksheets, and they are found in sheet tabs. Okay. These sheet tabs, you can do so many things with them. Okay. Then we have a button here which is used for inserting worksheet button. It's called the worksheet. Insert worksheet button. It's used to insert more sheets in the workbook. And the shortcut is the Shift plus F11. Okay. And then this other space you see here is called the worksheet area. And then we have a select all button there. We have the status bar. The status bar is to see the status of our application. Okay. How can I put a heading? We shall look at that. Don't worry. Things are going to become interesting as we continue. Excel is going to look, it's going to be very okay for you people. Don't worry. So here we have the status bar. And then we have the views here, normal view, page layout, page break view, zoom slider, and so on. So we are going to look at all these things as we move on, because we are going to do these things practically like we did with the Word application. Okay. Now let's continue. Now that we have looked at this, now that we have looked at them in this image, now I'm going to go back here to ask you now. Okay. Now I'm going to go here to ask you. I'll be asking questions. Make sure you do what? You reply very fast to my questions. We are going to name these parts as a class. Now we are going to discuss. Okay. Remember, you put up your hand and then you speak. Now I'm beginning. What did we call this? What do we call that icon? What do we call that icon? Yes, Collins? What do we call that icon? It's called the save button, not so? That is very okay. What is it used for? Someone else? Bamuje, Hakim, what is that save icon used for? Hakim?
So it's used for saving the document.
Exactly, it's used for saving the document. That brings us to this other part here. We have these three icons. This. They are found in a bar. What did we call that bar? What is the name of that bar? Ruben, yes? What's the name of that bar from here up to here? Ruben, I see your hand is up. Okay, Mutebi, help him.
Toolbar.
It's called It's called a what? A toolbar. Okay, someone else? What do we call that bar? Yes.
Title bar.
It's a title bar. Yes.
Yes.
Someone has said it. Quick access toolbar. It's called a quick access toolbar, where we can access things quickly, undo, redo, and so on. Now, after that quick access toolbar, there's this other bar here where we see book 1, Excel. What do we call that bar? Someone else? Put up your hand.
Title bar.
Title bar. Joshua said it. It's called the title bar. Yes. What is the use of the title bar? Ruben, I saw your hand was up.
Title bar.
What's the use of the title bar? Ruben, I want Ruben.
The name of the workbook.
It's where the document is identified from.
Okay, you can identify the document there, and Ruben said it is used to identify the name of the workbook you're dealing with. That is very okay. Now let's continue. Just below the below the title bar, we have this bar where we find some words. First of all, what do we call these words? Who can tell us? Rujumba, what do we call these words?
Menu.
They are called menu items. Okay, the menus. Okay, the menus. Okay, now these menus we find them in a tab. What do we call that tab? Someone has already said it. The menu tab. Okay. Okay, the menu tab. Now, just below the menu, what we see a lot of tools here. Tools we can use to format. Tools we can use to do a lot of things. What do we call that area? The whole of this area where we see these small tools. I want someone who has not spoken. Okay. Okay. Magila, you say it. Magila Ruben, say it.
The toolbar.
It's called the toolbar, and it's where we find the tools for formatting. Okay. Now that we are done with that upper part, now let us come here. What do we call this part here? Where I see C4, what do we call that part? What do we call that part? Yes, Joshua? What do we call that part where there's C4 there? What do we call that part? Here. What do we call this part here?
Name book.
Okay, as I said, it's called a name. Okelo has said it's called a name box. So Okelo, why do we call it a name box? First of all, you tell me, why do we have C4 there? Okelo, explain for us what the name box does. Yes, Joshua Okelo. It does what?
It identifies the active box.
The active box. Someone has said box. Okay. Anyone else? Does it
Okay.
identify
The active row and column.
active? It's called an active what?
It shows the
Active
name of
cell.
the active cell.
Exactly, the active cell. Now, okay. Now, Teddy, Nathan, I'm asking you a question. What is a cell? What is a cell according to our lesson we just had? What is a cell? Teddy, Nathan.
A cell is a cell is the place where you get information in a sheet.
Okay. Joshua Okelo, say something about a cell. Joshua, I see your hand is up. Okay, Joshua. Okay, Benjamin Bujingo, please. What is a cell?
A cell is an intersection of a row and a column.
Very good. A cell is an intersection of a row and a column. Thank you. That brings us to the next question. After the cell, we see something here having fx. What do we call that part there? What do we call that part where there's fx? Yes, Akim.
Formula bar.
It's called a formula. Someone has said it's formula bar. Yes, someone else? Anyone else?
Function bar.
Someone is saying it's a function bar. Anyone else? Okay, Lo?
It's a function button.
It's a function. Insert function button. Function button, exactly. Thank you. Now, I want someone else to speak. Okay, Augustine, I've asked you to unmute because I want this to be more of a conversation between the two.
Insert function.
Okay, we already, yeah, it's called the insert function button. Thank you. Okay, Augustine, I want you to unmute and you tell me what the use of the insert function button is. What do we use the insert function button for? Okelo. Augustine Semugenyi. Tell me, what do we use the insert function button for? Okay, Darren, you help him out. I saw Darren's hand up. Darren, unmute and help him.
The insert function button, like it can be used like to select a different formula for the different math equations.
Okay. How about Rujumba, please say something about the insert function button. Yes, Rujumba, your hand is
used to edit formulas.
It's used to do what?
It is used to edit formulas. Edit formulas.
It's used to edit formulas. Okay. Joshua Eyenga, please unmute and tell us.
It's used to get formulas to execute tasks.
Okay. It's used to get formulas. Anyone else? Rujumba, I see your hand is up again. Rujumba, you want to retry? Anyone else? Okay. Benjamin, tell us.
Can be used to make a.
It can be used to. I beg your pardon, Bujingo.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hakim, tell us, what do you think about the insert function button?
So the insert function button is used to insert formulas.
Insert formulas, okay. It is used to insert something, but I want you to, it's not a formula actually that we use to insert here. It is used to insert something. I want you to tell me what it means. Exactly. It is used to insert functions, okay? Functions that help us to perform these mathematical calculations. Thank you. Now, just after the insert function button, we have a space there. A space which is a bar, which extends from here up to down there, up to the other side. What do we call that bar? Okay, what do we call that bar? It's Wapamba said it's the formula bar. So Wapamba, tell us what is the use of the formula bar? I want Wapamba to tell us. Wapamba, you said it's called the formula bar. So unmute and tell us what the use of the formula bar is. Wapamba, we're waiting for you. Yes. Yes, Wapamba. We can't hear you clearly. Okay. Pardon?
It's used to show the formula of the function.
Okay, it's used to show the formula of a what? Of a function?
The function.
Okay. Okay. Wycliffe Edward, say something about that bar.
It is where formulas in a cell are edited.
You can edit the formulas there. Yes, you can edit the formulas there. And then what else can we do it? What else can we use it for? Chintu, speak. Chintu, what else do we use that formula bar for? Yes. Yes.
It can be used to
Okay, so someone already said it can be used to display the formulas we enter in a cell. Someone already said that. Akim, 2E, Akim, what do you think? What else do you think about this? Yes?
It is used to identify information in the active cell.
Exactly, that is also very important. It is used to identify information in an active cell, which is almost the same as saying it is used to identify the formula. So to sum it all up, you can say it is used to display the information in an active cell. The information could be any word, a label, or a number, or it could be a formula. That is very good. Mutebi Silva, what else can we use it for? Can't we use it for entering a formula also? Can't we use it for formulating a formula? Can't we use it for coming up with a formula? Yes, I think we can. Exactly. So those are the uses. Now that we are done there, let us come down here. Now, what do we call these? We have named certain things here, A, B, C, D, E. What do we call those things we have named according to the names? Rows. They are called someone has said rows. Columns. Is it true? Columns, exactly.
Columns.
These are called columns. All the columns are labeled A, B. And then our rows are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what is this? What is this I've selected here? Down here.
a sheet tab.
A cell.
Someone has said a cell. Okay, Ruben, please. What it's called what? Ruben, what do we call this?
Active.
Okay.
Active cell.
Someone has said active cell. Another one has said a sheet. But remember, I was comparing this with a book. I said in your books, you have sheets of papers. But here we have what we call, who can tell us, Collins? What do we have here?
Worksheets.
Worksheets, exactly. Thank you. They're called worksheets. And these worksheets put together form what we call a, Mutebi Silva, tell us.
Book.
A what?
A book.
Someone has said a book. Okay.
A book. A sheet.
Someone has said a sheet. Another person has said a work. It's called a workbook.
A workbook.
A workbook, exactly. Yes. So all these put together form a workbook. Then all of them individually are called worksheets. Okay. So we have this part here where we have ready. What do we call that part? That bar? A status bar. Very good. You people have been paying attention. So that is very good. And then down here we have what we call views. Okay. To change the views. Then here we can zoom. We can zoom or we can reduce we can zoom in or zoom out to reduce the size of our worksheet we are dealing with. Okay, so that is it. Those are the parts. Now I want the reason why I've asked us to go through them and do these things together is because if you don't understand these parts, the next things which are to come are going to be hard for you. So now that all of us who attended this lesson today have understood the parts of the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet, it will be easier for us to use them when we come for the next lesson in the near future. Okay, so that is what we have to look at today. Now, for today's case, I'm going to ask us to stop here because we should have stopped by 12, 30 minutes past 12. It's already 34 minutes past 12. So that is the end of our lesson for today. Now I'm allowing room for questions. Yes, Darren, I see your hand is up. Ask your question, please.
I request that you put on back the screen which shows the parts of the spreadsheet.
Okay. You want the parts of the spreadsheet? Okay. Darren, are you aware of our platform on YouTube? Not so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now what you're going to do, I'm going to make sure immediately after here, I upload this video onto our YouTube platform. And then after that, I'll include this same presentation, a link of this presentation, such that you can download it. The whole presentation, you'll be able to download it from the YouTube when you go to the see more part there, okay? Under the descriptions of the video, you'll find this link to this presentation here. I'm going to put it there so that you can easily download it and use it, okay? So all of you who would want to use this presentation to help you in your revisions, you'll find it on the YouTube, on our YouTube platform. I'm just going to upload this video, okay? All right. So, pardon?
The link for the YouTube platform.
Sir, but I don't know the YouTube platform.
Okay, I'm going to send you the link on your WhatsApp group. I'll be sharing that link on your WhatsApp group for those of you who don't know it, who don't have it. You'll find that we already have some lessons there. So I'm going to share that link with you. You'll be able to find the videos there, and also I'll be able to put this link there. You'll be able to see the latest video which has been uploaded. Okay. Ezra Chirabo, please ask your question.
Just
yes, please.
Some of us don't.
Some of you don't have what?
The notes.
The notes. Okay, you don't have the notes. Some of you don't have the notes. Now, for that, I'm going to ask you to talk to your friends because almost all of the highest percentage of your class has the notes. It's called computer software. They have it. Ask from them. They will give you the notes. They know the notes we are using. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Jevira Kayemba, ask your question.
Sir, my question is for a situation where we want to perform multiple calculations at once. How do you do it?
When you want to perform multiple calculations at once,
Yes.
Okay. You can perform multiple calculations at once using the same formula for different values, but it's not possible to perform multiple calculations at the same time with the two different formulas. Okay, let me just show that to him. He has asked a question which we might also answer in the near future because we're going to do a lot of things. So I'm having here 4. I hope you're still seeing my screen, 5. And then I have 2 here. Then here I'm going to have 2. I'm going to have here 15. I'm going to have here 100. And then here I want to perform the multiplication of all these values, but at the same time. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead on the first part there where I can calculate the calculations I want. I can do the calculations I want. There I'm going to get a calculation for, like I told you, equal sign. Then I'm going to select that times this, okay? And I press enter. So now this is using that formula. Now, in order for us to perform the same calculation for all of these files, we do what we call autofilling, okay? Autofilling. It does the calculations at once. That is how we do it, Kayemba. Is it okay? You autofill.
Yes, I've got it.
Okay, you autofill the formula to the rest of the cells.
Autofill?
Have you seen this small box here at the corner of the active cell?
Yes.
You move your cursor to that small box, the cursor changes shape to the plus sign, and then you press down the left button of the mouse or your touchpad, and then you drag it downwards. That is autofilling. Is it okay?
So what it has done for the multiplication of 4 and 2, it will do for the same 15 times 5 and
now when
2 times 100.
Okay, Francis, what you should understand is that when you perform an autofill, if you're performing it on a cell which has a formula, okay, like when you see now this cell is active, it has 8, but in the formula bit is showing us the formula, meaning when I autofill this, it's going to autofill the formula, which is going to be working for these other figures later on. Don't worry, you'll understand these things. You'll even understand why it has moved from C6 to perform the rest of the cells in the other cells. You'll understand these things, but for now, just take that, okay, the way it is. Okay, just take it the way it is. Matila, you have a question? Matila, I can't hear you. Edwin, I can't hear you.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay, all right. So, apart from that, are there any questions you want to ask? Okay, someone is saying. Okay, someone is saying I preview for them my computer. I'm sure you want to see how the Windows 11 looks like. Okay, but before I do that, let me first save our book here. Senior, this is Senior 2.
So when is the official launch?
Official launch, actually, I'm not so sure, but it's actually going to be available for all the other PCs. For the first time when they introduced it, they were making use of a feature that your computer should possess in order to install the Windows 11. It's called something called TPM. If your computer has TPM version 2 point something, it will install it. Okay, but if it doesn't, it will be hard. But now
automatically,
not automatically. Though if you keep on updating your PC, the next update probably will be Windows 11. If your PC has the TPM installed, when you keep on updating your Windows 10, it will update next to Windows 11.
So how do we check if you have the TPM installed? How do we check?
There are ways you can check. You can go through your boot menu, or you can actually use their official website.
Go through your
Okay, let me just show you how my Windows interface looks like now. Okay. Just for your information, we are done with our lesson officially. Now we are just looking at other questions you people are curious about. So I'm going to resume sharing. Then I'm going to share with you my desktop. Okay. So are you all able to see how Windows 11 is? That is how the desktop appears. Okay. That is how the desktop appears.
Wow.
That is how the desktop appears. And then when you open this PC, you can see how it is displaying the icons. Sorry about that. You can see how it's displaying the icons. Okay. It's displaying them. The icons have changed. When you open inside, you see how the folders are displayed. Yes? Pardon? I beg your pardon? Someone is asking a question. Now, there are features I've already identified which help me a lot. Yes?
And press the Windows Start menu.
This one here. There it is. That is how it shows.
Press the Windows Start menu.
In the preview, they were like they will be able to run Android apps here. Where can you run them? That
one I've not figured it out, but I think you still have to use another program. But I'll find out. When I do, I'll let you know. But now this is how your things appear. When you want to see all apps, this is how they display. Okay, this is how your apps now display. It is nice. It's very nice. The only problem with it, yes.
Is the UI user friendly?
It's very user friendly. Very, very user friendly. Actually, if you know how to use Windows 10, you can still use Windows 11. It's just appearance that has changed mostly. And then some new settings also maybe.